Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday, April the 13th. We're happy to have you be a part of tonight's show, an exciting day of professional golf in the world of the Masters. Congratulations to Rory McIlroy. Long overdue. History is now his. Immortality is now his. And that was one of the more dramatic days of golf that I can remember in my lifetime. But we're not here to talk about the golf tonight. We're here to talk some football, some free agency, and a little bit of a wish list situation as we get another week checked off. We are inching closer, ever closer to the NFL draft. I know it's going to feel like 110 days. I mean, well, technically it's 11 days, but those 11 days are going to feel like 110 days as we try and desperately crawl closer towards Thursday night of the first round. But in the meantime, it's worth taking a look at the Titans' needs. Worth taking a look at what's still available in free agency, because fair to expect that they will not be able to draft all of the solutions that they require on this year's roster. And so there are two free agents in particular that are top of mind for me, honestly, regardless of whether they address these two needs in the draft or not. So we'll talk about the shopping list for these two free agents. We'll go offense first and defense second. We'll get a little Sunday fun day in, if you would be so kind. It's also been a super dramatic week if you're somebody who's just a Tennessee sports fan generally. I know this is largely Titans talk, the Nico Iamaleava saga that's gone down basically, I don't know, since we got off the air on Thursday for the radio show, and everything that's transpired since then has been crazy. So if you're thirsty for Vol stuff, we're going to do that from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Nolan Sanders says, not going to lie, Buck, we got to talk about Nico. I mean, Maybe we get to it with Sunday Fun Day, because I'm gonna have 3 hours tomorrow to do it, Nolan. Primetime, it's such a Titans specific show that the vast majority of people show up here for Titans discussion. And rather than waste a bullet of a night on primetime, I know that the radio show is going to allow us the opportunity to expand on everything, because it's not just Nico, it's the spring game, it's the University of Tennessee. Primetime, we can touch on it at the end of the show, but I want to be able to stretch my legs on this topic, and this is not exactly the best format to do that, if you will understand. So from 10 to 1 tomorrow, or if you want to catch the podcast after the fact, we did talk about it a great deal nationally. I did Fox Sports Radio over the weekend with Jason Fitz, and we talked, I think, in every hour that we did of the 3 hours that we did about Nico Iamaleava, because it is a huge story. It is a national story, and that was the lead for us on Fox Sports Radio last night. So you can check out that podcast in the meantime if you don't want to wait until tomorrow morning. Whatever. We're talking free agents tonight. We're going to talk about the two that I think the Titans must add at this point in time, or not at this point in time, but at some point in time moving forward into the next couple of weeks and months. We're also excited to have an install announcement later this week. We'll give you more information about that throughout the course of the week, because that is drawing ever closer, and we will be talking free agents. We will be talking draft, but tonight it's specifically about the wish list. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Reisig. If you're new to the show, hello. Lovely to have you here. And I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com, where they currently offer you employee pricing. By TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, your first workout is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated, just the best in the business at TrueMapFitness.com. By Bart Durham Injury Law, you deserve to be paid, and the experts at BartDurham.com are there to make sure that you receive that fair compensation. And of course, if you're going to use that compensation for anything, how about Zen Sports, where betting just gets better? ZenSports.com. I bet on the Masters today via Zen Sports. I did not win today because I bet on Bryson DeChambeau. But if you were betting on Rory McIlroy, then you probably had a pretty good day, even though he was the heavy favorite heading into Sunday. Made it a little dramatic there. All your favorite major sports available for you to bet on at ZenSports.com. All right, so we've got Titans needs all over the place. We understand that we've talked about the draft prioritization. We understand that they are in all likelihood going to address the quarterback, which is the most important need for them to get rectified sooner rather than later. But as they continue to support this hypothetical rookie quarterback that will soon be on their roster, they need to have the best possible team around him. The draft is not the only solution to that. The post-draft free agency is equally as important, and there will be many suitors for a couple of these players out on the open market. But the place that I want to start with you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section, if you would be so kind as to participate there, is who is the offensive free agent that can help the Titans the most? So if any offensive free agent, any position, whether that be a quarterback, a tight end, a wide receiver, or a lineman, which offensive free agent currently available on the open market would most benefit the Titans to add? It's your Two Rivers Ford take, as always, presented by Two Rivers Ford, where they've been operating with honesty and integrity for over 40 years. And that honesty and integrity brings you employee pricing for everyone, which means that you pay what they pay on almost every new model year Ford on the lot. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. So who's the offensive free agent that the Titans would most benefit by adding at this point, or most benefit from adding at this point in time? I think that there are so many different places that you can look for the Titans in particular, because we understand what their offensive line situation looked like prior to free agency beginning, and then we understand the critical moves that they made to address the offensive line situation, with Kevin Zeitler on a 1-year deal, with Dan Moore Jr. on a 4-year deal, coming in here to play right guard and left tackle, respectively. And as you talk about all the different players that are still available at this point in time, the pickings get much slimmer. And you understand that a lot of times you're dealing with teams' cast-offs, for lack of a better term, when you get to the dregs of free agency. Once you get past the initial couple of waves, the recognizable names or the notable contributor names do dwindle considerably. But it doesn't mean that there aren't players that can't still help you in this upcoming year. And as you talk about the different positions that the Titans should be able to add, or must be able to add, you can still pull some different kinds of players that are out there on the open market. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is still an unrestricted free agent. Nobody expects the Titans to add Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Hell, I don't even know if the Steelers are going to be able to do it effectively. But just to look at some of the offensive names that are out there. Wide receivers, you've got Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett. If you get into the tackles, you've got Joseph Noteboom, who played a good deal for the Los Angeles Rams most recently. You've got players like Titans legend Robert Woods, who is still out there and available on the open market. Tyron Smith, a left tackle who's going to be 35 by, I think, about the halfway point of next season, and did not pan out for the Jets. David Andrews, the center from New England, the 2-time Super Bowl champion. Those are the kind of names that are out there. Names that you probably recognize across the last, 5 to 8 years of the NFL, but players whose names are probably more famous than their production at this point in their career. So when you talk about players that you would want to add, offensive free agents that you would want to add, who immediately comes to mind? Because for me, the answer is quite simple, and I'll give you that answer right after I remind you that TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch is where you go to get your first workout free and to get the best workout possible. I am getting ready to head to Hilton Head here in a couple of weeks, and I have slacked a little bit since I've been back from Palm Beach. So I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to get right with TrueMap Fitness. They are going to get me back on the path to success, and it's okay if you dip in your gym production or your gym attendance or things like that, as long as you get back on the horse, and TrueMap Fitness is going to give you the tools to succeed that way. Group fitness classes or personal training. And if you don't like either of those, you can just sign up for a membership workout in their open gym, their awesome facility in downtown Nashville, for that great membership offer. TrueMapFitness.com. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. The offensive free agent that comes to mind to me is Amari Cooper.
These metrics, when we're talking splits of Amari Cooper being on versus off the field, and if you look at the passing metrics, when Cooper was on the field, right in the middle, passing EPA metrics, 0.33 versus off the field, 0.17. So it's a plus 0.16 EPA per play. Obviously, he changes some things when he's on the field. Look at average depth of target when Cooper is on the field, 9.6, 7.7 when he's off the field. Yards per attempt, 8.8 with Cooper on the field, 7.2 when he's off the field. Touchdown percentage, 6.9% to 5.4% when Cooper is off the field.
We saw those significant struggles versus single high, especially man, like before Cooper was brought in. And that impact versus the run, when teams are confident just loading the box and they're not fearful on the outside, it's a chain reaction from a negative standpoint against this Bills offense.
If you look at rushing tendencies here on the screen, courtesy of Sports Info Solutions, the stacked box percentage when Cooper was on the field was 28 versus 46 when he was off the field. Either way you look at it, like, he did make an impact, even if you didn't see it with the production. It just, it's hard to fathom, though, how much you pay for that.
And that's the question, right? What's he cost? In a dream scenario, we're not necessarily operating with a budget here, and the Titans do have some money to work with, but they can't get crazy with it, right? Because then you start to borderline on the thing that in part got Rand Carthon fired, which is got to be judicious with your spending here. The draft is going to tell us a lot as far as what the Titans do in free agency, because they do have the 35th overall pick in the draft. That can net them a wide receiver. They do have 2 4th-round picks. Potentially you turn 2 4th-round picks into a 3rd-round pick if a receiver in the 3rd that you like enough is there for you to acquire. Theoretically, you could trade up into the bottom of the 1st round to the very top of the 2nd round if one of these Emeka Ibukas or Luther Burdens of the world find their way to you in this situation, and you are that in love with them, though that would, again, work against the kind of MO that the Titans' new look front office has talked about. Draft, develop, retain. Acquiring of draft picks doesn't mean that they have to stick to it like gospel. Certain situations arise. You have to be prepared for everything. But it would not really make sense. And I know that's something that we talked about later last week. Matt Miller suggesting that the Titans would be aggressive in targeting a wide receiver, and even hinting or trying to indicate that he believes that there's some interest in trading up. I have not gotten that sense, but it's entirely possible that he is talking to people who have indicated that within the organization. Right now, my sense is that they are good with 35 and would still like to add more draft picks as opposed to giving up more draft picks to move around in this year's draft, at least in the 2nd round at this point in time. So Amari Cooper's production last year went crazy. He got traded from Cleveland to the Bills in week 7, ironically enough, just in time for him to get after the Titans' ass and play. I think he played about 19 total snaps in that first game against Tennessee. He wasn't a huge impact player, but he did produce at a relatively low rate for the Bills this year. He ended up with, his production last year for Amari Cooper. Pro Football Focus is showing me the wrong stuff. All right, 547 yards, which was 64th out of 98 qualified wide receivers. He had 4 touchdown receptions, which was 47th out of 98 qualified wide receivers last year. He had an overall grade as a receiver of 68.3, which was 61st out of 98 qualified players, and his receiving grade, just as a pass catcher generally, a route runner and things of that nature, 61st out of 98. So not the top of his game. Had 82 targets, caught 44 of them. That was the Amari Cooper experience last year. So nothing that's going to blow your doors off, right? But certainly something that for a young quarterback who would be coming in, for a rookie quarterback coming in here, might be of significant interest to add. Just more veteran, reliable pieces. Doesn't mean that you still don't draft a wide receiver. Hell, draft 2 for all I care, depending on how this draft falls. But you're trying to do everything that you can to support the hypothetical Cam Ward situation. And in this hypothetical, where Cam Ward is drafted number 1 overall, you just need to make him as comfortable as humanly possible. And veteran options in the wide receiving room, other than Calvin Ridley, and Calvin Ridley is a good player, but that's really what you've got. Jaquan Jackson may not even be on this roster by the time. I think that James Prochet signing is indicative of them looking at other options as a returner. Doesn't mean that Jaquan Jackson can't still be here, but he's a 6th-round pick last year. Like, that's not somebody who, if he got cut after training camp or throughout the course of training camp, it would shock you, right? Especially not after the way that he was benched for his lack of reliability in the return game last year. Didn't do much as a receiver, didn't do really anything as a receiver when those opportunities arose, though those were few and far between, in fairness to him. You just want to add more depth, more reliability to your wide receiver core, because it is one of the worst wide receiver rooms in football. It may be the worst wide receiver room in football at this point in time. Let's see. Who are you interested in adding? Kendall says, this is funny because the Titans picked up Amari Cooper in my Madden My Player. Okay, look at you thinking on the same page at this point in time. Joseph Johnson says Zadarius Smith. That is incorrect. Also, he spelled it wrong. He's a defensive end. We'll get to the defensive side of the ball here in just a second. Corey D. Jackson says we need to stick and pick. It's a deep wideout class. Yeah, it's not a deep wideout class, first and foremost. It's very much not. It's one of the weaker wide receiver classes that we've seen. But can you get a guy in the fourth that can contribute on a regular basis? Theoretically, but you don't want to have to rely on that way. That's not the most sustainable way to, again, support Cam Ward. So I would not let it go to the fourth round at this point in time. I'm completely fine with if the right wide receiver is there in taking the right wide receiver to help Cam Ward. And I don't know what's Xavier Restrepo's not white, so I guess that could have been a Freudian slip if he was. I believe he's Hispanic. That would make sense. Either way, let's keep it moving. Prime time. So I'm in favor of Amari Cooper. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, again, for the right price. Now, if you look at spot track valuations, and usually these things come in low, the wide receiver market is interesting this year. Market valuation on spot track has an average annual salary of $18.9 million. Now, I don't know if I'm in the business of paying that for Amari Cooper at this stage of his career. Not for that level of production, which is something that they were bringing up on that clip that we played earlier of those two Bills podcasters talking about the advanced metrics on wide receiver. Robert Wall says Buck wants Jack Besh in my Freudian slip of white wide receiver. No, they tried that a couple of times. Adam Humphries, every time he got hit, he spontaneously combusted, and Kyle Phillips the same. So they have tried the white wide receiver situation twice here while I've been here, and to no avail. I think the last successful white Titans wide receiver was probably Mariani, and he was a returner, obviously, as much as he was a wide receiving option. Although, Humphries had a couple of nice games. They don't win that Chiefs game in 19 without him. That is for certain. Anyway, so as you look at all the different things that you have at your disposal, $18 million for Amari Cooper, $18 million a year, really rich for my blood, but where Jamar Chase is making 40 plus, you look around and you say, I don't know if that is something that we would want to, if that actually is too rich for your blood, if you do a 2-year, $35, $36, $37 million deal, and structure it in a way where you can get out after the first year. You structure it like D-Hop's deal where the cap hit isn't so bad in 2025, but potentially bigger in 2026 if you have to move him around the trade deadline. I think there are ways to make a Cooper deal make sense. It's just a question of how far are they willing to go. Titans Kyle says, how could you forget Titans legend Eric Decker? Yeah, I think Decker was like my first or second season. Was Decker still Malarkey or was he Vrabel? I want to say Decker was Malarkey. So that would have been 17. That would have been the playoff run that they had where they beat Kansas City and then went to New England. He had a terrible drop. Was that in the Kansas City game? If I remember correctly, he had a couple of bad drops towards the end of the year. He was not the most legendary thing that he did was be married to Jesse James Decker, who, when the Titans were protesting the Colin Kaepernick situation alongside with the Seattle Seahawks in a game at Nissan Stadium, in which very, very much angered many, many people, specifically in this part of the country, for reasons that you know and understand. Eric Decker's wife got out on Twitter and said that her husband had no idea that they were not going to come out of the locker room for the anthem. That was at the time that she was trying to sell a country music album that I believe did not necessarily do very well. So that was about the most legendary or notable experience that the Eric Decker signing brought at the time. Cody Hollister. Oh, I am forgetting about these white guys. I did forget about Hollister. He was Mason Kinsey before Mason Kinsey, a cockroach, a roster cockroach. You couldn't get rid of him. Anyway, let's keep it moving and go to the defensive side of the ball. Oh, Bert says that Eric Decker is going to be hosting this golf situation tomorrow that we're going to be at. I was actually at the Governor's Club yesterday, as a matter of fact. I got a friend that lives out there, went to a master's party out there. Lovely scene. We're going to be out there for a fund recovery golf event. Jeff Simmons is going to be playing in it. Delaney Walker is going to be playing in it. Bert has yet to inform me that Delaney or Jeff is going to be on the show. I would be shocked if Jeff Simmons showed up on the radio show. Stranger things have happened. I guess we'll find out together tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Hopefully Jeff's appearance, if there is an appearance on the radio show, is more diplomatic than his last appearance on the radio show. Anyway, defensive free agents. Who's the defensive free agent who's still out there that you would be interested in seeing the Titans add? MB says Hollister is the white NWI. No, don't you disrespect NWI that way. Hollister was not even remotely the wide receiver that NWI turned out to be. He just was here for a couple of years. That's so disrespectful to NWI. Defensive free agents that the Titans should be interested in adding. Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. My pollen allergies are killing me, so I might sneeze at some point during this read. But if I can, to the best of my abilities, I'm going to tell you about Bart Durham Injury Law. You deserve to be paid, and Bart Durham and the crew at Bart Durham Injury Law, or Blair Durham and the crew at Bart Durham Injury Law, are there to make sure that you are financially compensated for your personal injury or for your automobile accident. BartDurham.com has been around and in business helping Tennesseans and Kentuckians for over 75 years, and they can help you too. Go to their website, get a free consultation, find out more about their areas of practice at BartDurham.com. So, who's the defensive free agent that you would like to see the Titans add? Titans Kyle brings it down to the two that really I think are the only two options at this point in time. I guess there are safeties out there, potentially linebackers. Focus brings up that we should that the Titans should resign Quandre Diggs, cousin of Cam Ward. Maybe if they draft Cam Ward, they will bring back his cousin Quandre Diggs. But in the meantime, Titans Kyle brings it up: Judon or Zadarius Smith. I really think the answer at this point is only Zadarius Smith.
Love to be playing tonight. He was so appreciative, though, of head coach Dan Campbell being a former player, knowing that he needed to let his body rest this week. But he has been all in. You see him there on the sidelines, right in the mix with his new teammates, coaching them up, and he even made sure that Carlton Davis kept his interception ball.
And Zadarius is experiencing.
So Zadarius Smith traded from the Browns to the Lions at the trade deadline after the Aiden Hutchinson injury. They were looking for another pass rusher to add. He was the best available, and they got him out of a bad situation with the Browns and brought him into a great situation in Detroit. He's also a very versatile piece, as this next video clip will articulate.
James said Zadarius Smith is great at beating tackles. But that's not all he does. Why Zadarius Smith is so good to me is because he's put on enough weight to now also be able to rush over guards. See, Zadarius Smith, he's a pliable defensive player. He can rush over the tackle and win, but he can also rush over the guard, number 65, and win. Not every pass rusher has that ability. But here's what else I like. He is a combat fighter. Not all sacks are created equal. Watch his hands. He addresses the tackle first, then watch his hands. Arm over, sack. So he can rush over the guards. I want to let y'all see it one more time now that y'all know what to look for. He's going to address number 71, the tackle, but watch the violence of his hands. That's a sack. But what else can he do? We know he can rush over guards, but now y'all are going to see him. He can also rush over tackles. But again, people, not all sacks are created equal. Please watch his hands. He is violent with his hands. Watch as he grabs the tackle's hand, gets the tackle by the wrist, get him off of him, and now he's going to rush over the tackle and get a sack. What I love about this Zadarius Smith addition is he has the ability, based upon his size and his strength and his quickness, he can rush over guards or he can rush over tackles. Chase said something that was brilliant. This addition adds to the math of the Detroit Lions. Follow me back to the desk, please. It adds to the math of the Lions because they will always have leads. You need a player, an elite pass rusher, who can capitalize on the lead and put the game away.
So that is courtesy of the FS1 show, The Facility. Emmanuel Acho breaking down on the big board there how Zadarius Smith can be a movable piece in any defense, and we are specifically talking about Denard Wilson's defense. Peter Arce says he's so annoying talking about Emmanuel Acho. That show has a very, I don't know, there's something about the personalities on that show that I can't, it's not for me necessarily. It may be for some other people. There's, I'll take good football discourse anywhere I can get it, but yeah, I do think that a lot of people feel that way about Emmanuel Acho, and I think that's why he's risen to great heights and success, because he's polarizing. Polarizing, I suppose, is good in today's sports media atmosphere. Anyway, so Zadarius Smith as a player last year was he was solid. Again, he's past the peak of his powers. but that doesn't mean that he can't still be a viable piece with the right kind of players. He was a very effective pass rusher. 76.5 was his Pro Football Focus pass rush grade. That was 21st. Out of qualified ends, he was the 33rd graded overall player. 63 pressures last year, total pressures for him. And I believe that was significantly more than the Titans' lead pressure getter, Jeff Simmons, brought to the table. Significantly more, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look Jeff's numbers up here in just a second. But was able to, he's effective against the run. He's effective against the pass. He ended up having 10 sacks, double-digit sacks last year. Whether he's causing those on his own, whether he's winning one-on-ones on his own, or whether he's cleaning up for somebody else, you take that. That is as good a situation as the Titans could ask for to add in free agency. So 63 total pressures, not bad. You would like to see him bat more passes down. I don't know if that's just an athleticism thing at this point in time, but he's a long enough player. You like the length, you like the strength, you like the power, you like the pass rush moves. He's a quality add in the post-draft free agent world, where I think the Titans should and likely will be shopping at this after we get through the next week and a half, 2 weeks of pre-draft. Just pre-draft time killing at this point in time. All right, Sunday Funday. Let's wrap this bad boy up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comment section, if you would like to get involved, what is the best thing that you saw on the internet this week? Bert is currently bonking people for being horny in the chat. Please do not be horny in the chat. We would like to have a horniness-free chat. If you're going to be horny for anything, be horny for Shirtless Bert, which you will get on Monday night, as is typically the case. Some of you are titillated by that, and so we will save any bonking for that point in time. Don't be disgusting about people like our friend Mina Kimes, because I'm trying to get her on the radio show this week, and if you are going to be perverts about it, then I'm not going to do that for you, because she has excellent football analysis as well. All right, Sunday Funday. What's the best thing that you saw on the internet this week? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you want to be horny for anything, be horny for sports betting at Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. If you want to bonk anything, bonk that promo code ATOZTN up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Whether you're betting golf, basketball, hockey, baseball, all your favorite major sports are there for you. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus. I already told you that. You know the vibes. ZenSports.com for more information. What's the best thing that you saw on the internet this week? All right. So for me, it was Rory McIlroy. Starting out this weekend as somebody who was getting ready to, or trying to put a bow on the career Grand Slam, right? He was able to accomplish that today. Ended up in a playoff hole, or in playoff holes with Justin Rose. Found ways to give away the lead and then claim back the lead and win in dramatic fashion. You thought Bryson DeChambeau was going to be the one who was threatening him most. I, in fact, bet on Bryson DeChambeau in Zen Sports, or on Zen Sports today, much to my detriment, because he went nuclear about halfway through his final round at Augusta today. But Rory gets it done. Golf immortality. It was awesome to see. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to his family. That was my Sunday Funday. Yogi Hertz says Nico. The entire Nico situation is his Sunday Funday. So it depends on how you look at it, I guess. If you're a Vols fan who's happy to see him go, you're probably celebrating. If you're a Vols fan who has BVS, you're probably thinking, yeah, okay, talk shit now. But if Nico goes somewhere, and it's going to be interesting to see where he lands, because it sounds like programs are actively turning their nose up at him because of how public this has all become. I think he'll land somewhere. I don't know if he'll end up on a college football playoff contender or anything like that. But the Nico story is going to be fascinating. Now, Nico could go and have a very successful second full year as a starter somewhere else, not named Tennessee, and make Vols fans regret it, put Josh Heupel's job in danger, theoretically, make everybody question how the University of Tennessee handled this situation. Or UT could end up looking very smart in this, because they're the first to put their foot down on a name, image, and likeness renegotiation for a player who was on the forefront of being paid as a name, image, and likeness acquisition. So UT's handled all this stuff really, really well. I think while I'm still for Nico trying to get as much money as humanly possible, I think he handled it horribly, from his father on Twitter calling reporters a bitch, or calling Pete Nakos a bitch, to how he did not inform his coaching staff and his teammates that he would not be at the Friday practice before the spring game, and then not getting in touch with the offensive coordinator until late Friday night, informing him that he would be hitting the transfer portal, all these different things. I don't know how this Nico thing is going to play out. I don't know who's going to look right at the end of it between the Vols fans and him, but man, it's a fascinating time in college athletics, and it's going to be a fun story to talk about. We're going to do it for 3 hours tomorrow on 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We are going to be at the Governor's Club. We're going to be hanging out tomorrow. We are going to have Ramon Foster at the Governor's Club, and we'll talk more about the Nico situation with him. He was on the call for the spring game in Knoxville this weekend, so he will have good insights and analysis. Peter R. says, any comment from Nico yet? None that I've seen, but maybe we will have. I bet we wouldn't see him. I bet we wouldn't. If I was his camp, I would stay quiet until I got another job. It's funny that we're talking about college football players getting jobs as football players, but I mean, that's the economy that we are currently arguing over, and how much somebody like that, who had a pretty pedestrian season last year and may or may not be a good player moving forward, is trying to leverage his situation and just leveraged his way out of a college football playoff contender. Crazy stuff. Anyway, it's going to do it for us tonight, 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We'll look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Come hang out with us. Perhaps we'll have more fun guests, but if it's just Ramon, we'll have a great time too. With Bert, with Lucas, with me. I don't know if Ross is going to the Governor's Club. I don't know if we're going to leave him in that dark, smelly room with Bert or Jackson, perhaps. That would be an even smellier situation either way. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.